Like, that's not the way this works.
It's absurd.
Like, it's crazy. It's crazy, bro. I want to say this right off the bat. Joe Cronin in Portland, this has been not all the way masterclass, but damn near close in terms of acquisition of assets when you have what is not a great position to be in. A superstar player that most people around the league know that you need to find a landing spot for. And who is got a $200 million contract that somebody's got to take on. Like, that's not an easy thing to be able to acquire tons of assets for. And yet, as of last count, you have him with DeAndre Ayton and Robert Williams and Malcolm Brogdon and Toumani Camara and 3 first-round picks with a 2024 Warriors pick you mentioned, 2029 unprotected Bucks and Celtics picks, 2028 and 2030 Bucks swaps, which could be amazing in 5 and 7 years from now. You could look up and they're just now past the Giannis portion of the program and they're in a rebuild. And now you're catching those Bucks, like those swaps. Now you're swapping for lottery, maybe even top 5 picks. You never know. And he's got Brogdon, who was 6th man of the year. He's coming off of that. So you'll be able to get assets for him. Robert Williams, as long as he's healthy, as we say, he could change your defense for 25 minutes.
He's 25 years old.
You know what I mean? And
Sure,
he can change
he's
your
still
defense.
young.
And he can change your defense for 25 minutes. And I think that if you're the East, you'd want him to deal with Giannis and Embiid. And if you're in the West, you want him to deal with Jokic. So I actually think he's an asset that you can get stuff for as well. So he's not even done. He's gotten that stuff. And I think by the end of all of this, if he ends up with 5 first-rounders out of this and maybe another asset, it would not shock me. And I think that's pretty damn good considering we're just a long way from talking about Tyler Hero and picks, is all I'm saying.
The Miami Mafia looks pretty silly at this point. They really do. I mean, like, it's what Joe Cronin ended up getting. His only obligation was to the Blazers and to get the best possible return for them. And I think this is another instance in which the patience that is required when you're in this situation, when you have a star player that wants out, patience is the path to go rather than urgency. It's the Heat that should have been urgent. Pat Riley should have made a more aggressive offer right off the bat and try to get it done ASAP, knowing that his offer was ultimately weak compared to what other teams could put out there, as we found out. Because the fact that he got all of this, I mean, say what you want about Robert Williams being injury prone or DeAndre Ayton being up and down with the Suns. As we talked about last week with Ayton, this is a new situation, young team. Maybe he's able to find a new version of himself, get back to that elite level on defense, and maybe show new dimensions on offense. Robert Williams, we know who he is. You have 2 25-year-old centers that you add to Scoot Henderson, Anthony Simons, Shaedon Sharpe to help them develop and create this infrastructure with defense and rim running and rim rolling. And then you have all of these picks on top of that and the tradability of a Brogdon or a Williams if you did want to flip him. It just feels like with the Blazers, they're not quite done yet, as you said, Chris. But the fact that they got all of this already is just an absolute, A-plus job, in my opinion, by Joe Cronin, given this tough circumstances with not a lot of teams that want a Dame, and yet you end up with this haul. It's, remarkably done, and it set Scoot Henderson up, set Shaedon Sharpe up. Well, that's what matters most, is positioning these young guys for a bright future.
Yeah, they'll move off of Brogdon. They want to commit to those young guys. That's already been reported. So they'll move off of Brogdon and get what they can get for him. There's not going to be a lack of interest towards adding Malcolm Brogdon, who had a very good season for Boston last year and won
6th man of the year guy.
Yeah. But he will be miserable there, and they'll just move off of him and they'll try to get the asset for him. Williams might be one that you wait until February And then it's like, hey, now either my big has gotten hurt or I'm in this mix now. I know what we're going to be having to go up against in the playoffs, and this guy can really move the needle for me.
Or you just keep him. He's 25 years old.
Totally possible. It's possible. I mean, you can keep him. And maybe not. I just think unless you think him and maybe him and Ayton can man the court at the same time, and he just plays center and Ayton plays more of a power forward, or vice versa. That's a possibility. But I do think that I think you can get assets for both of those guys, Brogdon and Williams. And so this guy, who most people don't really know much about, Joe Cronin, I think he done a very good job. And he also, he needed this, and this has turned out very good, especially with this holiday deal, because I really didn't like the way that all went down at the end with the Dame stuff, where I know that he obviously did not have a very good relationship with this guy at all. But that whole Haynes story about, it's kind of like this guy had a chance as an unknown to really be disliked by a lot of people, because it's like, here's the favorite son, here's the best player who said, hey, I wish I was coming back. And this guy told me no. So the only reason I'm not there is because of him. And
Chris, he wanted to come back to give the Heat more time.
I love Damian Lillard, but
that's why he wanted to come back.
Look, that whole thing was just goofy because, I remember when I talked about it the day it came out on my local show. It's the equivalent of you've had like a long-term marriage and you want to leave her for some girl, and then that girl decides that she's not ready for the commitment, or that can't happen for whatever reason. And so then you go back and you say, well, wait, I was only going to leave you for her. I don't want to leave you for anybody. I was only going to leave you if I could have her. Like, I didn't mean I just want to leave. Like, if the choice is either if I can't have her, then I just want to stick with you. If I can have her, I'll leave. Like in a second, I'll leave. I'm gone. But otherwise, I don't just want to be with somebody different. I just want her. And then you come back and you're like, and then of course, so him as the long-term devoted wife, Joe Cronin in this instance, he's going, buzz off, dude. No, you don't get to just leave me for her. And then otherwise you want to come back. Like, that's not the way this works.
It's absurd.
Like, it's crazy. It's crazy, bro. And then, but he did kind of persuade at least a portion of the public population to think that like this guy's a bad guy for telling him to buzz off after he said Heat or if it's not the Heat, then I just don't want to go just anywhere. Like, that's the only place I want to go. Like, that's crazy. Come on, dude.
I just think the whole thing is just it's silly because, yes, I understand doing right by Dame. Like, he wants to go to Miami. Well, you sent him to the Bucks. He has a chance to win multiple NBA finals, right?
Right.
Okay, so you did that, right? But also, if you're doing right by Dame and just taking that crappy Miami offer, you're not doing right by Scoot Henderson. You're not doing right by Shaedon Sharpe and Anthony Simons and Chris Murray and all these young guys that you want to be part of your future. You're not doing right by the fans. And so it's like, if you're doing right for Dame entirely by taking that crap Heat offer, you're putting all these other young guys who you're invested in a poor position. I don't understand. Like, I feel like you got to just twist logic and it's just all emotion based about what Dame did for the franchise. Well, what the franchise did was pay him hundreds of millions of dollars over the years, and granted, they never won at the highest of levels. They didn't win a championship. They only got completely demolished in the conference finals. Now I think the Portland Trailblazers with Cronin and that reshaped front office, there's a path forward with this bright new team. They look like a bright future Blazers. I love the young core that they have right now. I love their versatility for trades with picks. It's a fascinating position to be in right now. I feel happy for Blazers fans to be in this position, and it's all because of Cronin's stubbornness, not giving Dame what he wants. Actually, it wasn't about that. It was his patience for doing what was best for the franchise, not stubbornness or anything like that, just patience.